Hello all, welcome to Big in Pomerania. I can't pronounce the German version properly, so I will just take it with the Americanized version. We are just starting another session here, and it's been a little bit since we were last in here. We covered some ground, and I don't know any way, better way to show it than just to dive in. We have a combine going out in the field. And here, just so you can see kind of where we're at, we are on our home farm is here. We have harvested this whole interesting shaped field here, and it was canola. We harvested it, we cultivated it, we replanted, sprayed, the whole 9 yards as it were. Next, as we saw in the previous episode, we came over to this field here, which had been was cultivated already with the map, and I think the prior episode we were in the middle of planting and may have finished, don't recall if I finished in that one, put down some chemical. Both of these fields now have growing crop in them. I don't remember what we put in here. I think it was canola. Over here we planted barley, and this for sure, as we'll see hopefully in a moment, is growing. Anyway, I have the combine sitting here in the field, and I don't see any reason we can't get him going, so let me make sure he's gonna stay. Oh, nope, he lost his way, so there we go, just gotta hit the 9 key and it remembers where we were. It's going a very fast speed, so let me try to get the level down a little bit. That's probably about where it needs to be. I could go yeah, somewhere around in there. Got our trusty hillside going, and we have in this field, like I say, we've done quite a bit. I'm a minimalist in terms of equipment, so I only have this one combine now. We started with 2. I sold it. I am selling crop right out of the field. And kind of like I expressed before, most of the fields in here, the one exception being the one we planted up here, were ready for harvest. So I kind of ventured out to this large field here. I went around it a couple times, and I've gone back and forth this whole way. So I have just the section up here to be done. It's going to take longer than we can get to in this video. So we won't be able to finish it in here. That's kind of the thing I've learned about these larger maps is, it's hard to do a series on them, and maybe the only way to do it, unless somebody really just wants to watch someone else do a whole lot of farming, is to do it in pieces. So I've obviously harvested a ton here, and I'm just now setting up another video to kind of show what's going on. So you may notice, if you recall, that I have a new PDA map. As you look at this here, and man alive, does it take a long time to do a PDA map, at least to do it correctly, at least my interpretation of doing it correctly. And maybe what I'll do here real quick is hop out of game. We got plenty of room here in our tank. We'll just let him do what he does. I'm gonna hop out, and what we see here is I pulled up the original PDA and our old one and our new one. So we have both of them here. And so this is the old one, and this, whenever you take a PDA map, what you're doing is you're opening the map in the editor, and you're zooming up, and there's a certain procedure. We all, those that have worked with maps, know how to do it. You go on the camera that you're on, You go up to about 2,000 meters above the surface. You put the X rotation at -90, so your camera points straight down. You put the Y value at 2,000 meters up, and then you take a square-shaped picture, if you will, of the map. And now this one here, being that it's a 4X map, I think I had to go up to 3,800 meters above the surface, to take a picture. So how the fella did it before, or the one that worked on this map, I don't know. But you see what it is here versus the one that we have now. And you'll notice what I've tried to do with this one is to color in the areas where there is water. When you see it over here, and for whatever reason, in the Giants editor, I don't think it's possible to show color on the water. If you were to zoom in here, you would see the water in here covering up kind of this area, but you're not able to color it blue or some other color that when you zoom out, you're able to see it. Matter of fact, when I first saw the map, I kind of thought this area right here was a body of water. And I went into game, and of course it's a field which we just planted. So another thing that I didn't like about this particular PDA is it shows all these red crosses, and what those are sound areas, I believe. You in the editor, you can show certain things, light sources, sound sources, those kinds of things. And a lot of times a sound is going to play within a certain radius or diameter of a particular area. So I suspect these are areas where sounds play, some kind of sound. So for whatever reason, the map author chose to do their PDA with these in there. I'm not sure why. I personally don't like having those in there. But one thing he did do is he put place names on here, which can be kind of handy. If you're looking for, and this is a big map, remember, so there's a lot of real estate in here, and if you're looking at, your PDA map and figuring out, which grain elevator or delivery point has the best prices, you kind of need to know where they're located in the map. I've been hauling everything, just at this location here. And I know there are a couple other areas, but I haven't gotten out to explore much. I've only been here, I've been around the main farm, and I'm kind of learning this area over here, kind of down by Ludwigsburg. So, yeah, and this is where we're harvesting down here, of course. So there was a lot of areas in here that I just felt it'd be helpful with a PDA if you knew where the water was, because otherwise you can look at this and say, well, I should be able, if I have in a hurry, need to drive cross country, to be able to come over here. Well, you can't. There's a big old body of water. I like it also when a PDA map shows the road network. You're not able to see here, but there is a road that comes along here. I believe it comes down around here. And I'm not even sure where all it goes. I know it encircles the main farm. I think it comes up into here too. And you see some of the roads. I think like this one here is because it's painted on. And you see, I think there's black roads painted on. So, but the reason that it wasn't done, I suspect, is because it's a pile of work. To do this, it took me basically a couple hours of some detailed work. And I don't know if I did it right. There may be an easier way to do it, to put all the water in here. And I'm kind of particular in how I do it. I want to be somewhat precise, to show all the nooks and crannies of a particular body of water, where it goes in, out, whatever, to get it as close as I can, within reason, of course, because when you come in game And you see this, it isn't going to be totally blown up. I mean, you can kind of zoom in. So, oh yeah, so right dead, well, kind of this way, I guess. There's right in there we can kind of see. Actually, in here you see some of what I did. So, in my mind, in order to call out these bodies of water, I opened the editor, and around every place I saw water, which I'm circling here, see the edge of the brown? Inside the editor, I took a particular texture and I colored under the water up to the edge of the water wherever it was. Because then when I could open the texture, after I created one, you know, I talked about it earlier, where you go 3,800 meters up and with your camera straight down, then I could see all of this particular texture down here, and I knew that it was a body of water. So wherever I saw this, I would color it blue. And, you know, I had to do that longhand out here. When I say longhand, I'm in a picture viewer, so I had to use some of the tools in here to color all these areas, you know, where there was water. You know, so there was some in here, then there's little puddles hither and yon. I think there's even one right in there, just a teeny one. Hopefully I got them all. But now at least I know where the water is, and essentially it's on one massive island, a square-shaped island, if you will, with all these other things. Now, given the region that it's attempting to depict, it probably isn't realistic that this would be sitting on an island, but for whatever reason, the map author chose to do it that way. And indeed, I wouldn't know how to do it any better either. It's pretty easy to surround yourself with water because there's no distance scenery you need to worry about. It's much harder to have it landlocked and to know how to make all your map borders properly. Another thing I put in, I mean, even the teeniest little, wherever the water appeared, I tried to put it in. So these ditches had water. I think there's some ditches down here, or maybe over here, I don't remember, that didn't have water. The ditches are there, but there was no water, so I left them alone. But anyway, I colored texture inside the editor all around here to get up to the level of water, and then carefully painted everything you see in here with brown up to the edge. Brown, I say brown, it's the wheat texture, just so I could see exactly where the water level was, so that when I opened my picture in this editor, I knew where to put the color blue. And the color blue, by the way, I got from in-game itself. In the past, I've taken just my own color blue or whatever they had in here, and it was a stark blue, royal blue, whatever. Well, this one here, I tried to take from in-game, you know, where I took a picture like right here, where it's showing the water out here, and I could get, I think it kind of matches this color here to here. Now, I'm also noticing here as a combine is turning around another issue with a large map. Do you see the crease in the corner here? This is the edge of the skybox. And the skybox that the Giants have for the standard map, you know, the standard map, you may recall, is 2,048 meters on a side. You know, while I'm here, I'm going to empty this dude. Switch over to here, and we'll offload him. Anyway, the standard map, 2048 by 2048, and the skybox is pretty much double that, or 4 times the size of the map, if you will, in size. So in other words, you could look out on the horizon, and you can still see sky out there. I'm going faster than the combine. Here we go. So that is something I also want to work on, and all I basically got to do, I think what I need to do is open the map, or the skybox that it uses, and simply make it larger. So probably if I make it half again as large as it currently is, what it'll do, like if you step out of cap here and look up, I mean, there you can see more creases. See, when you got a standard size map, you're going to be more in the center of it, you know, kind of like if we were back on the main farm and you look up and you look out to the side, you're not going to notice the creases as bad when it's a standard size map. But you do notice it when you're in here on a 4X map because the skybox is just barely large enough to cover the whole map. So I think if I expand it a little bit and, you know, it'll take the crease that we see on the edge and it'll push it further out. And, you know, it'll make the clouds just a little blurrier, but that's okay. I mean, they're clouds, you know, you don't expect, it would be within the realm to see some blurriness, you know, up there. Let me get back to the combine here. So it'll spread it out just a little bit. That's something else I wanted to do. But back on the update for the PDA map, I can't remember if I've shared how to do it before. And this obviously isn't a detailed tutorial. Maybe someday I should do one. But I know they're out there. I know how I like to do one, but it may be different from what other people do. You know, maybe just hop out here again real quick. One of the things I like seeing in a PDA is as much detail as possible. And if we were to open the editor, one of the things we would see is the concept of clip distances. You know, so if you're on the farm, there's probably objects that are way over here that fade from view because they have a short clip distance. And a clip distance is simply the distance after which you can no longer see an object from wherever you're standing. So if there's an object like a tree over here in the corner of the map, and remember this is 4X, so we're talking 4,000, almost 4,100 meters on a side. So if you have a tree over here that has a clip distance of 10,000 meters, well, and you could come clear across the map to this corner, and you could probably still see the tree. Now, for performance reasons, I think that's the purpose of a clip distance. You don't want it that far away, or some objects you want to fade out. Otherwise, if your computer has to work too hard to render it, it causes, it'll reduce your frame rate and other things that are undesirable, unless you have a really powerful machine. But when it comes to a PDA map, I like seeing as much detail as possible, all the way to the tree, the individual tree, building, whatever. So in mine here, I tried to do that, so like all these, and it's still tough because this is, again, a 4X map, so it would show even more detail if it was just a standard size map, you know, which would be about a quarter of this. But each dot here is a tree of some kind. You can see buildings here. And when you zoom in, of course, it's going to be blurry. But yeah, you can see all of it on the main farm and everything and everywhere else. And it's a static picture, but I just like having as much detail as possible. So one of the things I did, you don't want to do this in the main file of the map. I made a copy, and then I opened the map in the editor, and I did a search for clip distance, and everywhere there was a clip distance, I added several digits to it so that every clip distance, you know, was over 100,000 meters. I mean, just exaggerated, long distance, because I wanted everything, whatever it was, whatever object, to be visible from 3,800 meters up. So if there's an object that has a clip distance in here, you can see it from way up here. Now, there's other objects that kind of fade as you zoom out too. It's one of the problems. One of the things, for example, going back to the water, one of the things I've tried is to have a texture that takes up the whole map, just a flat texture, color it blue, and put it right at the water level. And I was thinking, well, hey, you can zoom out and maybe you'll see the color blue wherever, you know, it lines up properly. But it just doesn't work that way. There's something screwy in the editor that when you zoom out and you have a texture like that, it's gonna show everywhere, or it'll show none of it at all, or it'll be distorted. You lose the detail for some reason. Now, maybe there's a way to do it, and I just don't know how to do it. I couldn't figure out how. So I opted for the method that I had. But that's kind of another clip distance problem that you have. But anyway, I did a search and replace in a text editor, saved it, and then reopened the map in the editor. And, you know, the performance is going to be a little off because it's going to see everything, you know, with a much higher clip distance, and then you zoom out. But there's other problems too that you run into. Like I was starting to say, the road network in particular kind of fades. And this here is a 3D object, the road that you see here. And it was so small, I think it kind of faded into the background. So what I did, and this is kind of a trick other mappers have used, is you can either take the whole road, and because you're straight up, you don't notice this, raise it, say, 10 meters off of the surface of the map. That's one approach. Or you can do what I did. I took the terrain and I moved the terrain down 10 meters so that the road could be clearly seen, so it just stands out. Of course, when you take the terrain down, all the buildings are up in the air too, so it helps make all those stand out. The other problem you run into, and I've kind of ignored it here, is there's a little bit of shading and shadow here for some of the hills, and I brightened up the sun a bit to kind of wash some of that out. Another approach you can take is to literally flatten everything on here. That's why I'm saying you don't want to do this on the actual copy of the map. Otherwise you just mess it up. So you do it on your own copy. But you can flatten all the terrain under here, and so what it does is it just reduces it to something flat while maintaining all the shapes of the fields and everything. And it just helps in doing the corners. Now this one here wasn't that bad because water is all around it. And then, so you bump up the clip distances, move certain objects up like the road so you can see them. And then you take your picture. I just use a simple snip tool in there, saved it as a JPEG, and eventually you want to change it into a DDS file. But yeah, you take a simple picture, get it as close to square as possible, and then you come in and you edit this so that it's a multiple of 2. So I can hear you do a resize, and you see it's 2048 pixels. If I had a better monitor, I could have probably done it in more detail, 4096, but something in a multiple of 2 to get it perfectly square, and it needs to be in a multiple of 2 in order for the game to recognize it. So anyway, I kind of wish I would have had it a little bit darker color on mine. I may come in and put some place names in mine because I've lost those, but at least I no longer have these pesky red areas, if you will, which obviously shows it came out of the editor. So mine's a little brighter. At least the watercolor is close. All right, how are we coming? We are nowhere near close to full. But, actually this would be a good time here to take over the combat in a moment, where close to this kind of field island, if you will, where we'll need to kind of cut around a bit. But does anybody else who's ever played, and maybe it's different now with the later versions of the game, but those that have played the earlier versions, how do you put in the water? It's a total pain to do it the way I described it, but short of texturing the surface, in a certain way, so you can take it into a picture editor and add the colors. How would you do it? What's the proper procedure to do it, or a quicker way to do it? It's like I say, it took a couple hours to come in and just color everything around here a certain texture, so I could see where I had to color it, though, give it the watercolor in the picture editor. So, all right, we're done here. So we're gonna take a trip around the circle. And again, you can see what I did with that darker brown color. Now, the thing that I should have done, and I didn't do, was save a copy of the texture map of the original so that my changes don't appear here. I don't think they hurt anything really. It's a little anomaly there where you see the brown. Oh shoot, as I tried to come around here and I can't even drive straight. Back up. There we go. So that's why I say maybe there's a better way to do it. I couldn't figure out how to do it, by using a different, like a texture plate that you put at the same level as the water. It just doesn't come through, when you try to take a PDA map image of it. But as long as it took me to do it, and I wondered several times if I was, because I haven't played a lot on this map. I don't know how much I'm going to do on it. It's just a huge map, so, and I've played large maps before. They take a lot of energy, but I don't know. I couldn't help myself. It's like so many of these maps. I know I'm not the only one. When you come in here, there's tweaks and changes you want to make to try, hopefully, to improve on what you see, where maybe the mapper cut some corners, maybe they didn't know how to do something, maybe they didn't care, whatever. So I know I'm not the only one who does that. And I'm seeing kind of another issue here as I combine the way the distance textures work. You see all this grass, and then we get to the edge of our viewing circle over here, and there's all that is yellow, or actually I think it's a wheat texture, kind of a border of the field. For whatever reason, the grass, and I may need to look into this, maybe the grass doesn't have a distance texture, or if it does, maybe it is subservient to the underlying texture here versus what's on the field. I don't know. I'm sure there's probably an order there, and I don't know how all that works. But some of the ad I can fix. When I come in here with a cultivator, one of the things I'm going to do is cut over heavy into this area so that it gets rid of the grass, so at least you see the yellow, and it'll be consistent in the foreground as in the background. And consistent. You look here you see grass and you see the green in the background. It isn't perfect here, but at least it's consistent. It's green to green. It's a little more jarring to go yellow or green to yellow like that. Oh, the things that we pick on. Those are the things, that hit my untrained eyes, if you will. And I know there's other people who are, when they play the game, they're sticklers for realism. They probably pick apart what I'm doing with the combine here. We all have our own different style of playing it. So, something for everyone. Alright, let me see here. I may... I'll maybe just start it back and forth here. Love me that quick camera. Get turned around. In this episode, they always go by so quickly. I just set the clock for half an hour. Yeah, I'm not going too fast. And the time just disappears. And as you can see, this map is so large, this field is so large, that nowhere near putting a dent in it. Alright, I gotta back higher again. There's the bell. Yeah, it's probably too steep of a curve for him to turn around on, so sorry, Russell. You know, my good friend Russell in New Zealand, one of his comments he's made, and actually I tend to agree, especially for if you're going to YouTube an episode or have people watch, he said 20 minutes, if I recall correctly, is kind of his benchmark. You know, it should take no more, with the exception of spraying, no more than 20 minutes to do a particular field operation. So no longer than 20 minutes to combine, 20 minutes to plant, and so forth. And of course, these large maps, they blow that out of the water. I will say though, and it's not very often you come across one of these. You know, this is of course a 4X map, and it's a 4X map that has very large fields. You know, it would be possible to still meet Russell's benchmark with a 4X map, but it would have to have standard sized or smaller fields. But I don't know how common it is. 4X maps are so huge, it's a lot of work, and so it'd be even more work for the mapper to turn it into small fields. You know, basically you're making 4 maps. So, anyhow, here we are, big in Pomerania. The bell has sounded, and it's time to go. So thank you so much for coming along. Wish you all the best. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.